Time to go.
Yeah, see.
Am I live? If I am, then welcome all and apologize for last year. The wrong camera was picked and I couldn't connect. This is a long story short, and the resolution to the problem was to use Firefox, where you could pick the cameras, but it wasn't possible before the show. This year works a lot better. So how this workshop works, whatever I will do, I will try to commit it here to the AirHacks repository, but I will delete it probably tomorrow. And because we have only 45 minutes, what I decided prior to the show, I open sourced 2 hours ago a small template. This is a very minimalistic one, but I always get questions, where this template comes from, what it is, and this is basically nothing. But I open sourced the nothing 2 hours ago, or 1 to 2 hours ago. So I was busy today, kind of. So now let's start with the presentation. So why I think web components are made for you. So short anecdotes. So first, I think it was 10 years ago, I was in a task force. This was a Java task force. And I was actually hired to help to resolve a problem with the configuration of the system. And because the system just, start working with out of memory error. So, and I look at the system and I couldn't understand what's going on because AOP was back then aspect-oriented programming. And what they did is they create aspects implemented with annotations. And inside the annotations, they have Groovy scripts to implement preconditions. We check the preconditions. And of course, if you think about this, it doesn't make a lot of sense because annotations are static and Groovy is dynamic. And, the combination is tragic, I would say. And I couldn't understand what's going on. And I said, okay, why we just don't delete the entire AOP and annotations together with Groovy and replace this thing with if statements. So we have in Java if statements. Sometimes the if statements are more interesting than, or better in production than, an entire framework, AOP-based framework with even if it sounds right. And they look at me and say, a genius idea, why didn't this before? It's like, how you could get an idea, to replace if statements with aspects with implemented in Groovy script inside the annotation. So another story, I think 5 to 6 years ago, don't remember it correctly, I was in another task force, this time front end. And for me, a simple application was banking application, but with some forms included, used Angular old before 2, and they added Angular, wanted to use Angular 2, but they couldn't because it was incompatible with Angular 1.4. And what they did is they changed somehow internally the name spacing. So the Angular 1.5 was compatible with Angular 2, but another team wanted to introduce another Angular version and it was no more compatible. So the idea was to use React. So another team used React and put it to the project. So we already had three frameworks, and there was some problems with JavaScript. And I look at this and ask, for me, it looks very simple. So what I will do is I will delete all the frameworks and just use a small form. And they look at me, is it even possible? So that, the project leader asked me, it is impossible. So I mean, it will look like crap. It is impossible to implement something like this, without frameworks. And what happened was a few internal Java developers implement the entire application without frameworks. So this was roughly, I would say, 5 years ago. And or more than 5 years ago. It was when you still had to use Polymer sometimes, the framework from Google. So and because the Java developers like the idea, this is what I do for 5-6 years. I just try to implement web applications without anything. So this is the background of the session here, why I got the idea. So now I'm a Java developer and JavaScript developer at the same time. Actually, I used JavaScript a lot, but back then it was not very fashionable to admit that understand JavaScript. So I remember back then we had lots of JavaScript, backend JavaScript. Yeah, it was possible to run JavaScript on Netscape SuiteSpot server back then, and we migrated it to Java. This was one of my projects in 2003, I think. So I knew JavaScript, but I didn't admit this because it was back then was JavaScript like, Visual Basic, something that was on the same level. So, but now it just works, and it's very, very similar to Java. So yeah, just a little bit marketing. So if you like, there is a podcast, and in the next episodes there will be another episode with Chatai, which I pronounced my entire 20 years completely wrong. I always say Kagatai, which is completely wrong. Chatai is his name. And we will talk about web components and prime faces, for instance. I think it will come out in 4 weeks or something. And one episode is already recorded. What we also have an episode with the lit HTML creator. So if you like, check out the AXFM and AXTV. Any questions left, go to AXTV. Some online courses next time, but now, this is nice marketing, because you can download the entire course for free, Redux for free. Why it is free, no time to explain, but you have to, if you would like to have it, Redux for free is the coupon code. You can download it for free. Now, and this is compatible with today topics. So I'm migrating an existing web component application from Redux to Redux Toolkit, but I also explain, all the steps. By the way, did I mention ask questions via chat or via voice whenever you can? I try to answer all the questions. Real time is more fun. Now, this tweet happened to me. I saw the tweet 2 days ago, I think, or yesterday. I noticed that, and I think the Mr. Claxon has something to do with the ING web component suite from the ING bank. And what he said is, so he started from scratch, deleted everything, so TypeScript, and now he's happy. And this is actually what I see the trend going more and more, that people asking themselves, do we need the entire craziness, to implement a web app? And this is where I spend my time in the front ends, and this is what I did for years in the back end. So for me, it's the same. Now, again, any questions? Or if you say what you are saying is not true, so we can discuss that. So now, Java. Why I like Java, or why probably you like Java, is they are stable APIs. So the cool story is, my secret is, I learned Java in 1995. Since 1997, I'm a freelancer, and what I had to do from then, only learn a small pieces over time, because Java actually never changed. It just got more and more functionality, but it's not like it was completely rewrite. At the very beginning, there was some rewrite between JDK 1.0 and 1.1 in the swing space, but for years it is really stable. I don't have to relearn everything, and I have to admit I really enjoyed. Why? No, pointless relearning means less vacations. So very important for vacations, or nowadays you would say, how to life-work balance, right? So now, no magic, no surprises. So why I think Java is still very popular, because it doesn't have a lot of syntactic sugar. You have to write a little bit more code, but you understand what happens. I'm really surprised by the quality of Javadoc, by the way. Even the oldest JDK 1.0 content is still great. It's a way better than most projects are providing. Better is included in Java, so actually you can download JDK and you can already start. So if you would like to present someone hello world, you need VI or a text edit, download JDK, and you're ready to go. So it works after the box. Learn once, never migrate, my favorite, so you don't have to migrate anything. And there are no accidental migrations required or needed, which is actually the impact of the first one. Now, web components, for me, exactly the same story. And web components is a placeholder for web standards for me, because web components are built into the browser. That's the idea. So we have stable APIs, so they won't change in future. There are no magic, no surprises. They look like Java classes, and they there's a Javadoc, and this Javadoc comes from MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, and even we have here a DevDocs. This is what I really prefer if I'm on the road. And if I would like to search for Java util date, so I will find date from Java, and or from whatever. And because if you search for Java, you will also, it is not enabled, interestingly. I thought I enabled that. Oh, this is a different browser. This is, okay. Now if I search for date, I will find a date from somewhere for Java. So it was not enabled, Java util date. And custom elements, window custom elements, this was enabled. This is the entire, the same actually looks like Java doc, but comes from Mozilla Developer Network. So if I would go to MDN and search for custom elements, I will find the same. So this is just different browser. This is what it was not set up, this DevDocs. And yeah, you see custom elements is similar experience to Java doc in Java. So batteries included, but we need a little bit more. I would say lit HTML in a second, and sometimes Redux. And web components are working out of the box. Len ones never migrate. This is actually one of the selling points. This is why I'm able, or why I get so many requests is because larger companies are not really interested in migrating, because a framework changes back and forth. And no accidental migrations required. And why you are sometimes forced to migrate in enterprise project is very simple. If you wait too long, you get in the pipeline too many security warnings, and no one would like to see them. So the project manager forces actually the developers to migrate the project up with. Also, there is no changes in the business logic. Okay, so still no questions, which is what's wrong with you? You have to ask questions. No, this is interactive sessions. This is not pre-recorded, so we can enjoy that. Now, tooling, what do you need? I use Visual Studio Code the recent days. Works great. Browser sync is one of my favorites, but it's absolutely optional. It's like a web server on steroids. So what it can do is it can, it watches the changes and pushes the changes. It's like a Tomcat with a little bit more tooling, which communicates with the browser and reloads everything. Chrome and Firefox are great. It's hard to tell, what is better, Chrome or Firefox. My impression is for CSS working, developing, Firefox is a bit better, and Chrome is more popular. And Safari is great if you develop mobile applications on iOS. So then you can debug the application, JavaScript application, web component application on device. And Redux DevTools is a free plugin for Chrome, where you can visualize the internal state of the application. So this is what I would like to explain you today. A little bit more that actually planned. Why this? Because I open source another template, so we can take a look on that. And this basically it. So this would be the last slide. We have to come back to this because usually I get the question, how more complex applications look like, and I would like to explain it today. So how they really look like. So now start with the project. Set up web standard project, and this is just a script. And I always get the question, what's behind? And I'll show you in a second. And now Java Day is a perfect name for the project. Hopefully it works because I changed it 2 hours ago and it seems to work. So now I get questioned what happens behind the scenes. The first time I don't have to answer this. Why not? Because whatever happened is explained in PWAs, which stands for what? Plain web standard. What is S? Forgot this. Template should be T actually. You see. Oh, plain web standards. Okay, perfect. So I was already afraid that I would have to rename the repository. Plain web standards is great. On PWT would be even better, but let's keep it this way. So what happens behind the scenes? This template was cloned, and then browser sync was started. So this is what my script also does. Okay, now we have the script, and now very briefly, I would like to show you what a web component is, and then I will switch to best practices. So that's the idea. So this template comes with, and what browser sync does, I could say at Java Day, and I have always problem. Istanbul. What I really always have to write is Istanbul because there are lots of Insta paper, Insta states, and I really have a trouble. Istanbul. I think this is done right. Istanbul. So this is the title. So this is the title. So you don't see it, but I actually want to do this here at Java Day. Now you see Istanbul. So always the N, which is completely wrong. So now we have it. And so you can see the browser gets updated. This is why you need a browser sync. So what you can open or should open developer tools, and so we see the Hello Web standards. If I change it, it gets reloaded as well. So now, what a class, this is a class called Java Day, extends HTML element. So how to know the element? Because we could go to MDN and look this up, so we can actually do this. So if I go to, where is my browser? If I go to here and search for DevDocs, doesn't matter, MDN HTML element. So you get a Javadoc-like exactly structure. So you can see HTML element inherits from element, which inherits from node, which inherits from event target. So this is the series of things. Now, very good. So we are here. And now I have to use the API, which is a part of the standard API, and say define Java Day. There should be a dash, and this is the class Java Day. And now we are basically free to do whatever like. So we can say in connected callback. This is connected callback. It's something like post construct, and we can say this, which is in HTML, and in HTML is the content of the DOM element of the HTML element. And I can say this is a backtick, which is like text blocks or raw strings in Java. And I can say here Java Day is nice, something like this. So, and now I created my own tag called Java Day, and and this is just, here I can say Java Day, and you see Java Day is nice. So I could say also, I can pass already messages. I could say the message is good morning, which is not true, but good enough. So good morning. And if we go here, I could say I would like to include here the get attribute, and this is and this should be this. Always do this. This is what I always do in Java, and it should be, I think, message. And as you can see, nice good morning. And of course, I could access this via attributes. I could listen to the attribute changes, but this is no frameworks experience. So now I think it's good enough. Any questions?
Yes,
because now I will.
Two questions.
Very good.
Two. Yes.
Ask the first one. Lit TypeScript is lit equals TypeScript web component. So I'm using the next question is presenter, why Vue.js is very popular. What do you think? I don't know, because Vue.js has very similar experience to web components. What I can tell you is, after showing what's possible without frameworks, this solution was always taken in past projects, even in I would say design agencies, and because I was also on international Java. This is a strange. This was a little bit exaggerated. There was a conference in Munich. It's called International JavaScript Conference, and I delivered a session. And after the session, JavaScript developers came to me and asked me, say, this is crazy what you can do without frameworks. So it seems like many people thinking, or developers or Java developers, they are assuming you cannot be productive without framework. So they look for the framework first, and Vue.js seems to be the most reasonable one. Having said that, if people ask me, large projects, which framework to choose? So if you go to Git Vue.js, let's go the Vue.js. So we have to find it first. So Vue.js. So, and if you go here and go to GitHub, so this is the official repo. And if you go then to where is it? They were contributors, 400 contributors. But you see, from the 400 contributors, only one guy is working, and this is the Ivan Yao from New Jersey in China, and the others contributed something, but it's hard to find what they did. And we had even the Chatai from Prime Faces supported Ivan Yao as a sponsor. So as long as this guy has no fun developing Vue.js, everything looks fine. Otherwise, it's a little bit more problematic, I would say. So I would say people are still Vue.js is a lot more reasonable than Angular, I would say. but you don't need this in all projects, and it could be nice. So you can, I would say, similar story like Java and Kotlin. So Kotlin is nice, but Java is good enough, right? So for me at least. So I'm not feeling that something is lacking. So this would be similar. So and the next question is, or statement, lit equals TypeScript web components. Lit is without no, lit is just additional library, which I show you in a second. So are you happy with the answer, Alto?
Good. Thank you.
No, very good. So if his answer, he's no my moderator, my boss, then everyone should be happy. So we have here the wait a sec. I would like to deactivate. Oh, now the responsive is deactivated. So I think it's good enough. So you saw basic component, and now I would like, I think there are methods. You can have import statements. Maybe import is also interesting for you. So if you just create a class called service.js and you will try to import it, you get an error because maybe I should activate this in the template. You have to do type equals module. So now the modules are activated. I mean, and this is also the same modules what Vue.js uses behind the scenes, by the way. So there is, and every framework uses now more and more modules. So all the required JS and common JS and all the stuff, I think, will die because it's pointless at this point of time. So we have type module, and now what I can do in the service, I can create export const hello equals, and this is a method which just returns just returns, it just writes here a nice business logic. So and now I can go to my component, which is app.js, and I will have to import that, and the module is service.js, and the component is hello. And now I could say is, I don't know whether it will make sense, but I will just invoke the hello here. Hello. So, and you see hello, a nice BL, good morning. So at least a comma. So this was how to include, and the point is you will have to find a way, how to structure the application. So we have some presentation logic here, and then we have the service here. So now what I would like to do is start with the, so this git add simple project created and push. So now you have it, and I would also add this to the repository, add linked clipboard. So now you have it live in the repository, both. Okay, now we have now set up web, no, forgot the name, web BC project, and now say how to call it, real world Java Day. So okay, so now this application is the answer to all the, I got in all the talks that people ask me, but what if the application becomes more complex? How do you deal with that? And the remaining time, I would like to walk through the application because it's already on GitHub, so it is already available, and tell you what happens behind the scenes. And your job is to challenge me or ask questions, right? So now, this is like the templates I use in most of my commercial projects. It varies a little bit, and it looks almost identical to this what you saw before. So there is, I use some JavaScript or CSS framework, like Bulma is a great one. It's a very simplistic class-based framework. There are lots of options, but there are no JavaScript frameworks inside, just CSS. But you could replace it with whatever you like. Material would be also interesting. And what I also did, the Favicon, I added the Favicon. Otherwise, you get 404 errors in the console. Okay, now you see there are some standard text. There is a navigation, so obviously you can navigate here. You can add, so the routing is included, and this works with a standard href. And this basically it. So there is one script in it, which we can skip for now. Hint. I'm using Redux, and it requires a specific property. This is where it's added, but for all other frameworks, it is not used. And if you would like to learn Redux or Redux Toolkit, check out the free course. I already mentioned that, so you can just download completely for free. And so there is the app.js and there is the module. So, and if you take a look at the structure, so this app.js is loaded. So we go to the app.js, and this is where the entire story starts. So I used third-party router from is Vaadin router. Why use Vaadin router? Because it's very simple. It's a web component and it works out of the box. I already got on YouTube comments yet, but how you do the guards, it could be possible with Vaadin router actions, but you can replace this router with whatever router you like. I even implemented my own router on YouTube in 5 minutes, I think, or 10 minutes. So it is not a big deal. And which router to choose depends on your, on your authorization challenges. I mean, this is the challenge, because you would usually like to display specific menu items for specific roles, and this is how you would choose the router. And funny story is, for mobile apps, I don't use router at all. I just can instantiate the components and use them directly. So why not? Because the what also is one of the key features of the router that actually changes the browser history, and you see the URI. But if you are in the mobile space, you actually disable the browser view, so it feels like native application. So there is no URI location, so you don't need a router. So this is the entire explanation. So we have two routes. So this is the B list. This is both routes, and what you see is all the components are here loaded. So we have one boundary list bookmarks and boundary bookmarks. Now, the bookmarks, obviously, this is a simplistic project just with bookmarks. But what we do in larger project is the following structure. So we have a bookmarks feature, which is a view. And the bookmarks feature always comes with a folder with the name bookmarks. Then the internal structure is always the same: boundary, control entity. Boundary is like the layer which exposes visual components. And you see here boundary bookmarks. So what it means is, in every bookmarks feature, there is a bookmark file. Why I do this? Because of convention. I don't have to think. I always know. I go to bookmarks boundary and I will find bookmarks.js. And this can look like this. And what does is like a portal, or a portal, like index.html, right? So it just loads the preview and add. So there are two other components which are loaded, and this is the preview and add. What I also have, always a consistent convention. So preview, I know there is a preview file with B preview. If this would be a Java Day application, it would be JD probably dash preview, and B stands for B element. And the list is the list. So this is the entire thing. And someone asked me about lit.html. So this is the lit.html. So what lit.html is a standard extension of JavaScript language. In JavaScript language, what you can do is you can create your own template processor. It's called text string literals. I think this is the correct explanation. So text string literal, and of course, MDN again. And in one point of time, text templates, you can create, for instance, here you see there's a function myTag, and hopefully is used somewhere, because it will be used myTag dash. It looks like template dash. If this is the function template, this is the name of the function basically, right? And I will edit this to the show notes as well. So now you have it. And so now what's where is my editor? Here. Now this HTML is such a function which comes from lit.html. Lit.html is still part of the larger Polymer project. Now, what is the magic? So if I do something here, I say label Java Day, and I say a great conference, and say new bookmark. So it is stored and it should appear in the list. So they seem to communicate with each other, and I also get here the updates. I say hello conf is average, for instance, right? Hopefully there is no hello conf, so is average. So this was a non-existing conference. So and so we have two. Now how this works, and now we come to my last slide. Where's my slide? Here is this. Boundary control entity boundary. This is called unidirectional data flow. So in large projects, the main challenge is how the components communicate with each other. So the boundary only knows business logic. The business logic changes the state. This is actually model view controller, if you will. Model, this is the control, and this is the view. And why the name boundary control entity? You see exactly what the name is, because the icons are available everywhere. And this is probably one of the oldest design specifications. It is older than UML, actually. So, and the idea is, if boundary changes the state of the model, all components are notified behind the scenes about the state change, and they get re-rendered, always re-rendered. Everything gets re-rendered in your app. But because we have lit HTML computes the diffs, and it only re-renders what really changed. So that's the idea behind. So let's how it's implemented. So that we need a kind of a framework, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't work. So it is inside the BE element, and this is the entire framework. So this is everything, are 50 lines of code. Now, I would like walk through, because it's identical to this what I did, and I implemented this, in every project, created such a class, this class, and then I would say, okay, this is, I mean, why not to repeat myself every time? So I open source it on GitHub, and got actually good feedback. And also funny story. I thought, no kidding, for 2-3 weeks, how to publish a JavaScript project. So I already thought about Maven. It's like, come on, Maven, no one will use Maven, to scaffold a JavaScript application. Then the next idea was NPM. It's like, yeah, but you need NPM in order to install the thing. And then the most genius idea was, why not just, publish it into the GitHub, and then you can just clone it. So we don't need any pre-processing. We just need a template. So this is what I do right now. If there's a new project, I just say git clone. The repository, BCE design is the name of the repository, and I have the project. So, and this is what you see here. And the major bloat here is logging. Why? Because the logging is nice. If I show you how the logging looks like, it looks like this. And you see it is hierarchical. So I see the bookmark. So the bookmarks renders before extraction, after extraction, and you can even see what is the state before and after. So if I go to the add bookmark and say hello, we will see there's also a form validation that the update was triggered in the component, the preview and add, and all the components are the updates was triggered, right? And the hierarchical view is great for debugging. So it's not really hierarchical, because it is simplistic. But if you would have more nested components, you will see a tree of components, and we'll see what exactly happens. And for this, you need to know the group and group end, which is a little bit more plumbing. But now, what happens here? In connected callback, every component subscribes to Redux store changes. This is the store. Done. So we get, this is the update between entity and view for all components. So then trigger view update is invoked initially at the very beginning, but since then you see the trigger view update is only invoked in case the state of the Redux changes. Now the Redux store is visible. This is here the Redux DevTools. You see there's a bookmarks and link, and it was changed from is average to nothing. So and the entire state is visible as well in the Redux toolkit. So we have the list. We have 2 conferences. One is Java Day, which is great, and Hello Conf is just average. And there's the current bookmark. So if I change it, it's a little bit hard because now I'm full screen. So if I change to Hello Duke and do it again here, you see here that the bookmark, the label was changed to Hello Duke. Now, what it means is all components are immediately receiving the state changes, and there's additional convention in the projects is that if I have a top level folder bookmarks, I also expect to have a slot bookmarks. So oh, this is not consistent. You see an error. No, it's consistent. Bookmarks, bookmark, and the current bookmark is bookmark. So if I would get another slot called Java Day, for instance, then I would expect to have here a slot Java Day. But Java Day would be not a great name. For instance, for the Java Day conference managing app, I would expect. Come on, how to close that? I would expect, here having folders like speakers, sessions, what else, sponsors, booths. So this would be my expectations, right? So so if I would like, to create, how much time? 10 minutes to go, I think. There are no questions left. So wait a sec. No questions. So what's wrong with you? Huh. Source. Now I created a small script. BC. This is really small. It's like make dir minus p. That's all. I hope. Which BC. I hope it is small. Yeah. It just creates a package with boundary control entity. Exactly. So now BCE, and let's say conferences. So I get here conferences slot. So because it's conferences, I would create a file called conferences.js, and this class conferences not JS extends BE element. Oh, JS SJ, maybe next year. BE element. So and by the way, I'm not using TypeScript, just plain JavaScript, and I get actually great support. By the way, even if you don't use JavaScript, Visual Studio Code thinks this is TypeScript. If you don't use TypeScript, Visual Studio Code still thinks it is TypeScript and provides you, all the support you see here. So how would server-side rendering play with web components? Very good questions. It wouldn't. There are already solutions, but in Java we are better than this. What I would do is I would use things which I already have. For instance, the plain old Java server pages. Crazy fast technology. Just use what we have. You could even combine JSF with web components, and so far we didn't use that server-side rendering. And if you ask not web components projects about server-side rendering, it's painful experience. So I never, also, if I ask someone who did, the isometric applications, the feedback was always bad. Next question. Maybe it doesn't really fit this presentation. What if you view on Vaadin to build UI compared to what you are presenting now? Vaadin, extremely compatible. This is actually the first time I don't show you third-party components. I did it actually last year on Vaadin. They have a great Vaadin elements web components. I think it's I misspelled this, but yeah. And what we use in lots of projects, we actually use Vaadin components. So I'm used the BCE template for structuring the application, and we absolutely use Vaadin calendar, SAP UI5, components. So there are lots of third-party components, but I don't need an infrastructural framework. What I only use are single components from different vendors. For instance, so Vaadin elements, they have great set of not for modern Java apps. They also have for but it's the same. So there's a date picker. If you go here, there's a Java and HTML, and the HTML is the web component, and Java is this what emits HTML. And I think Vaadin, there's a great, stewards of web standards. And actually, after my talk, there's Alejandro, and I had already a chat with Alejandro about web standards. So if you go to Airhacks FM and search for Alejandro, hopefully I can Alejandro Duarte. So this an entire hour we had a chat about web components. So if you like, listen to the talk. To the podcast, sorry, not to the talk. So I would say what I don't show the first time here is you can absolutely use third-party components, and I use it all the time. Go to my YouTube channel. I did it with SAP UI5 components with Vaadin, so it works perfectly. So I always use third-party components. If calendar, I would never use date picker by myself actually. And exactly after me, everyone has to join the presentation from Alejandro Duarte, great guy. So, and a great proponent of web standards, hopefully. So ask him about that, Now, what do you wanted to do? We wanted to create the conferences. So now custom elements will be defined, and this would be conferences, and this is conferences. So conferences. Okay, now you will have to implement the view or override the view method. Why? Because it is like an abstract method here, so no magic. And conferences, and here I would say return HTML imported. So Java experience, and then say number 1 Java day, and now Istanbul, right? I really practice that, so I always I said it already, right? So it would look not nice, so we would actually need to have all the list with that. Oh, li something like this, and do this. So okay, and all others conferences actually don't matter, right? So this is and there are no others. So of course Java Day Istanbul, and the other is maybe second would be Java 1, but it doesn't exist anymore, so period. So was cancelled. Now so we have that, and now conference, and now I will have to integrate that. And how to do this? We will have to switch to here. And now my theory was I don't have to think twice, so it will be conferences, then boundary, because it's visible, is the view, and then conference. You see, I was not conferences should be. So I would refactor that actually immediately, but this is conference talk, so that's it should be conferences. So now I can say, okay, cool. Now I have a navigation, and this would be hopefully it was let's see what I did here. Conferences was half consistent. Half consistent means actually completely inconsistent. So but it will be here conferences, and now the router is already set up. But here I would say this is conferences, and this would be conference. And I forgot something. Actually, I should start the thing with SPA feature, so this wouldn't happen. So there is in browser sync an SPA flag. So if you use that, then you wouldn't see this errors. But go back here. So if I have a conference, and the conference is Java Day Istanbul, and so it was immediately integrated, right? But now what I could also do, I could say what I really would like to have is I would like to access my own state. And this is absolutely possible. I can say, let's say I'm interested in the last bookmark, and this should be in this state. Oh, sorry, this state, which is true. And I will have to look it up. Wait a sec. So the state is in bookmarks and bookmark. So the state should be just go away. Should be bookmarks and bookmark. Bookmarks and then bookmark. Okay. So now let's go here and say I'm interested in the bookmark, and I think it was label, hopefully label. So let's see. So now we have added bookmark, so we can have the current one, and at the conference we see the state of the bookmark. So this is how to add a new component or a new state. Java Day is the best. So if we go to conference, you see here is the best, right? So the formatting is not perfect layout, but I think it's good enough. So we have one minute to go. So I would like to answer some question. What about all the benefits provided by bundlers, Webpack? Oh, Rollup, are they way easy to integrate to get all the benefits? Of course. So actually, if you go, Rollup is great, and this is what I use. But the difference is in this approach, I'm not using Rollup on developer machines. Rollup is used in CI/CD only. And where is the BCE design template? Wait a sec. The PWAs you saw already. What I use now is the BCE design. And if you go here to libs, I used Rollup to actually it explains what I did. I used Rollup to install lit.html, Redux toolkit, and Vaadin router. And this is explained actually what I did. And if you like to see more, there are free YouTube videos what I actually did. So, and yeah. Is Redux used for communication between components? Yes, it is. And this was the with one-liner. This was the one-liner here. So there is here store subscribe, and the store is Redux store subscribe. So the store comes from Redux store. So if you go to the store, we see this is configure store from Redux toolkit. I use Redux toolkit because it is way easier to choose to use. If you go here and to choose as well. And here you see there's a component called bookmarks. So you don't have to clone the state, you just set the state and everything else happens behind the scenes. So it's a very lean way to work with the state. Very good. So we are 1 minute over time. So perfect. Question to Alto. Alto, are all your questions or from the from audience?
From audience.
Very good. I thought, you are hyperactive and the audience is sleeping.
Yes, also there's one more comment from Marian Tribel. So he says that this should be a longer workshop. But time
Sure.
is up.
This is the only downside of Java Day. These sessions are too short. But if you are interested in workshops, there was a workshop about that. This is AirHacks Live, but the next one is about clouds on Java. And I'm sure January, February, I'm completely overloaded with projects right now, but next year maybe there will be again project about that. And in AirHacks.io, they are, if you go here, this is the free one, but there's web component, lit HTML, and Redux. So I built the entire app and explain what I'm doing. And I'm also plan to record a shorter one. Yeah. And if you like, I will send you a coupon code for if I record the new one to Alto, and he can distribute this around Java User Group.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else?
For now, yes. Oh, yes. This is all the questions we have. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Adam, for being with us. See you.
See you. And this year worked perfectly. I would say this conference worked better than the pre-briefing. So we had some issues with with everything, but now it works perfectly.
Yes, perfectly. Thank
you a lot. See you next year, hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.